HEX and PulseChain supporters started the week off on the wrong foot. That's right. In case you haven't heard already, Richard Hart is being pursued by the SEC. And we're going to dive into this right now. Here we go. Welcome back, guys. I did not have an episode yesterday, did not drop a clip because doing some home renovations, and unfortunately the room that is used as a studio was the room being worked in. Anyways, looks like it wasn't a bad thing because we were able to give some news time to percolate, and here we go. Let's dive right into it. It was kind of funny because there were a few HEX supporters that were kind of freaking out on Twitter. They were looking for evidence. Where does the SEC say they're going after Richard? Okay, well, here we go, guys. SEC.gov, okay? This is a press release on the SEC.gov. I don't know how this gets faked, but hey, maybe it is. It most likely isn't fake. No, at this point, it's confirmed. He is being pursued by the SEC. So, SEC charges HEX founder Richard Hart with misappropriating millions of dollars of investor funds from unregistered crypto asset securities offerings that raised more than $1 billion. Okay, the Securities and Exchange Commission today charged Richard Hart, a.k.a. Richard Schuler, and 3 unincorporated entities that he controls, HEX, PulseChain, and PulseX, with conducting unregistered offerings of crypto asset securities that raised more than $1 billion in crypto assets from investors. Just to rewind a bit, there are some HEX supporters that had no clue what his real name was. Okay, and these were people going around shilling his product, right? Shilling this absolute garbage, not even realizing that this isn't even his real name. Okay, Richard Hart isn't even his real name. So one of the HEX supporters actually was going around on different tweet threads, essentially claiming that Bitcoiners were fudding this and that it wasn't real because he couldn't find Richard Hart listed anywhere. And then, of course, Bitcoiners had to point out to him, that person, that Richard's real name was Richard Schuler. So it's just, I mean, don't get me wrong, but it sometimes seems like there are a few, right? There are a few shitcoiners that definitely love to dive into the weeds and really get proper details. But when it comes to the people that are supporting these clearly garbage projects, you know that they're not doing any research at all whatsoever, okay? I mean, he's been shilling this crap since 2018, and none of these people figured out that wasn't his real name. That's pretty bad. And it's really easy information to come by, whether it's on Twitter or on YouTube. I mean, this is really easy information to come by. Anyways, let's continue. The SEC has also charged Hart and PulseChain with fraud. Oh, what a shock. For misappropriating at least $12 million of offering proceeds to purchase luxury goods, including sports cars, watches, and a 555-carat black diamond known as the Enigma, reportedly the largest black diamond in the world. That's right, guys. That's right. As the poor Hexagon bag holders were buying these fake, complete vaporware created out of nothing tokens, Richard was taking your money and buying a bunch of name brand crap, which then was absolutely hilarious. He was using it for rage marketing. So then he would go on Twitter or on YouTube and or Instagram or whatever the hell, and he would show off how much more money he has than you and how successful he is. Buy my shitcoin. And I'm sorry to say this, but this is what happens to naive people, right? Like, people that actually think that this guy's successful and that this guy's like somebody to look up to, they look at this and they say, see, he did it. Maybe I should listen to him. No. What he did was use other people's money to pretend that he built something that was worthwhile and respectable when really it was just grifting vaporware that does absolutely nothing. Okay, I will continue. You can obviously see my bias towards this total train wreck. According to the SEC's complaint, Hart began marketing HEX in 2018, claiming it was the first high-yield blockchain certificate of deposit, and began promoting HEX tokens as an investment designed to make people rich. December 2019 through November 2020, Hart and HEX allegedly offered and sold HEX tokens in an unregistered offering, collecting more than 2.3 million ETH, including through so-called recycling transactions that enabled Hart to surreptitiously gain control of more HEX tokens. Between at least July 2021 and March 2022, Hart orchestrated 2 additional unregistered crypto asset security offerings. I mean, why not? You made millions of dollars through your first one. Why not keep spinning them out till you can't spin them out anymore? They each raised hundreds of millions of dollars more in crypto assets. As alleged, those funds were intended to support development of a supposed crypto asset network. Really, it's just a website. It's just complete garbage and nonsense. Okay, there's nothing in the background. He understood that the people buying his shitcoin didn't understand anything. So all he had to do was simply put up a website and show them that the number keeps going up every day. Hey, that's good. Look, this thing's working. And claimed crypto asset trading platform PulseX through the offerings of their native tokens, respectively PLS and PLSX. Hart also allegedly designed and marketed a so-called staking feature for HEX tokens, which he claimed would deliver returns as high as 38%. And again, this is what I'm talking about. There's no ecosystem. There is absolutely nothing here. It is a website, okay? A website that would show you the coins that you have staked versus the ones that you are receiving for your stake, okay? And then at the end of that, you can go and withdraw, okay, at the end of that period. And of course, the lockup was a certain amount of time in order to help hype and pump the token, but also to ensure that it doesn't just get dumped. But wait, it does. We'll continue on. The SEC's complaint filed in the U.S. District Court of the Eastern District of New York alleges that Hart, HEX, PulseChain, and PulseX violated the registration provisions of Section 5 of the Securities Act of 1933. Before we take a look at part of the grifting ways, I just want to point out a little bit of information that some people may not be familiar with, okay? If you haven't been in the space for a long time or for at least the last 3 years, you may not know this, but essentially HEX, okay, that first shitcoin, that was actually airdropped to Bitcoiners. Okay, so if you went and chose to provide your, I think it was your XPub. I'm not really sure anymore. But anyways, what would happen is that based on the amount of Bitcoin that you have, you would get a certain amount of HEX airdropped to you. So essentially, it's, you know, in that particular case, I mean, it's not an investment or anything like that. But you see, Richard's not a stupid guy, okay? So people really, like, just because somebody is smart doesn't mean they're not a scammer, right? Just because somebody's a genius, it doesn't mean that somebody's not a scammer. And I am not calling Richard a genius, okay? I mean, it doesn't make a difference what I think. It's completely irrelevant. He is, though, a very capable marketer, number one. Number two, he understands human behavior, okay? And number three, he understands greed. Now, the amazing thing that he did with HEX is that he gave it to Bitcoiners. Okay, so these Bitcoiners, whether they, you know, unwittingly, whether they wanted to or not, I mean, look, right? Greed. You're going to take your HEX and you're going to go and sell it on the open market, which is automatically going to start to create activity for your shitcoin. Now, once you have this quote unquote organic activity, it's much easier to solicit new people coming in, giving you actual money. Okay, so the Bitcoiners, he gave it to them for free because he understood that these people were just going to dump it on the market, okay, and start to create a whole bunch of economic activity for HEX, which then lures in the new bag holders, the actual bag holders, okay, and then with Pulse, he did the exact same thing, but he did it with Ethereum. He airdropped the Pulse to ETH holders, okay, so. Again, when it comes to marketing, he is brilliant when it comes to marketing, very clever, okay? He also employed this tactic called rage marketing, where, you know, he would essentially remind you about how well-to-do he is and how much better his life is than yours, and then, you know, go and buy his shitcoin. right? So you being insecure, feeling like, well, how come I'm not making it, you know? And then so you're going to go out and buy this useless shitcoin. Really, you're just going to get wrecked. Anyways, we're going to go take a look at a video that was actually posted by Predator. Shout out to Predator, dude. You put out amazing stuff, and if you are not following the Predator account, you should follow the Predator account. This is a video with Richard talking about the HEX price momentum and the chart and what the possibilities are. It's such dangerous shit. I can't explain it in any other way. Unfortunately, I can't use a better word than shit, because that's really what it is. And again, it has to do with, he is very charismatic. He is an excellent speaker. Okay, so here we go. Take a look at this.
Very weird to say that you could see each hex be worth $1 million. It's really weird. But then I look at the chart, and the chart literally is pointed to $1 million. And this is with like a conservative line.
Okay, so keep in mind, right? The rest of this interview, he goes on to explain how the numbers aren't even humanly feasible, but the chart indicates it's going to $1 million. And again, he says it with such like this low-key confidence, okay, that you're like, all right, well, the chart says it's going to $1 million. He doesn't seem surprised. Again, perception is reality. Now, okay, chart's going to $1 million, right, guys? Okay, well, let's go take a look at that chart that's going to $1 million. Keep in mind, this video is actually from this video is actually from a few years ago. It's not that recent, but still, it's very important, right? Because this is what the grift is all about. Now, let's take a look over here. Okay, so first of all, I just want to point out, I want to point out to all the viewers. Okay, so let's go take a look at the HEX BTC pair. You will notice something. You will notice something very interesting about the HEX pair. You notice how there's absolutely no BTC pair? It's kind of weird, isn't it? Because it's total crap. Nobody's willing to trade this shit against their BTC. This is just total garbage. And don't think for a second that Richard doesn't know it's garbage. He completely understands it's garbage, but he also understands how to manipulate people. So let's go see what it does trade against. Let's pit it against the USD, right? Okay. So there you go. On crypto.com, there's HEX USD trading pair. Let's go take a look at that. All right. Well, here, this is the monthly chart. Okay, guys? This is the long-term chart of HEX, right? And look at what it did. It pumped and it dumped. Okay? There's no magic here, people. There's no, like, this isn't something that all of a sudden comes back to life. This is what a pump and dump looks like. Now, I think another piece we need to address in this video is, what does this mean for the SEC ruling with XRP? Right? Well, what does it mean for that? I think that the SEC, and again, I am not a cheerleader of the SEC. I know all the shitcoiners try to paint Bitcoiners as like cheerleaders of the SEC and da-da-da, you're all happy. Guys, it's not about cheerleading for the SEC. It's about the fact that we told you so. We told you that if your shitcoin can be stopped, if your shitcoin can be messed with, it will be, because they can. Doesn't matter if they're right, if they're wrong. They can fuck with you. Okay? So your shitcoin doesn't have the same qualities as Bitcoin. Sorry, that's what it is. Okay. Anyways, besides that, right? So SEC has already has already appealed the decision. Okay, that's the first part. The second part is that now the SEC is going after HEX. So what people need to understand is that indeed that was a win for the XRP people, more specifically for the Ripple company that issued the Chuck E. Cheese token. But the reality is that the SEC is simply just going to look for lower hanging fruit. And in comes the biggest fruit of all, Richard. So, you know what? I think that, interestingly enough, right, because hex means curse. So this would be really, I think that this would be kind of fitting that hex becomes the shit coin that takes down all of crypto. I'm not saying that that is going to be what happens, but I'll tell you this. There's way too much shady crap that went on with hex, way too much wash trading, really strange transactions between Binance and between crypto.com and certain wallets that Richard that Richard controls. So, and look, I'm not going to get into any of that, right? There's accounts that do that stuff way better than me with way more detail. So that's perfectly fine. I'm just taking a look at the overview, and I really think that the SEC is simply just looking for the lowest hanging fruit. And as soon as they find it and they're able to pounce on it, this is when you're going to start to see the quote unquote sweeping regulation. But yeah, guys, you know, Bitcoiners told you so. We told you to stay away from hex. I mean, I was talking about it even when I was on Simply Bitcoin. I actually did a whole entire fail segment entirely about hex and why and how it's a total grift. Richard understands his audience. Okay, he understands. He understands how to trigger people. He understands how to make people think that other people are. Well, he understands how to make people think that he is incredibly successful, and if you just listen to him, then you too can be successful. So he's doing nothing different than the mainstream media. He was just selling you a story, right? He was selling you a story. He's showing you how well he's doing, right? Sitting there all alone in front of these expensive cars, with no friends. I mean, there you go. That could be you. That could be you. All right, guys, that's the end of the clip for today. Don't forget, like and subscribe. Help us fight the evil YouTube algorithm. And I will catch you all tomorrow.